less valid? Because as you've said, your words, not mine, some people think that that is a controversial thing to say. So which cultures would you specifically say are less valid than others?
So it's not about labeling cultures. Culture includes a lot of things. I'm not talking about cuisine, I'm talking about customs. And I think that cultures where women are told that they should not work, I would knock on doors. I'm sure Penny and Jake had this. You'd knock on doors and you'd see somebody at the door who says, oh, I can't speak to you, I will get my husband. I don't think that's as equally valid.
What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are feeling good. Today, guys, we're back here on a new video. Today, we're going to be checking out BBC host goes quiet as her question for conservative backfires. This is going to be really amazing. I would love to check this video out with you guys. Let's get right to this video, guys.
You've written this morning about immigration, and you write that we cannot assume that all cultures are equally valid. So which cultures, in your view, are less valid than others?
Oh, lots. Cultures that believe in child marriage, for instance, or that women don't have equal rights. I actually think it's extraordinary that people think that's an unusual or controversial thing to say. Of course, not all cultures are equally valid. I don't believe in cultural relativism. I believe in Western values, the principles which have made this country great. And I think that we need to make sure that we continue to abide by those principles to keep the society that we have now.
So which particular cultures then would you say are less valid? Because as you've said, your words, not mine, some people think that that is a controversial thing to say. So which cultures would you specifically say are less valid than others?
So it's not about labeling cultures. Culture includes a lot of things. I'm not talking about cuisine, I'm talking about customs. And I think that cultures where women are told that they should not work, I would knock on doors. I'm sure Penny and Jake had this. You'd knock on doors and you'd see somebody at the door who says, oh, I can't speak to you, I will get my husband. I don't think that's as equally valid as our culture. But the point I was making in the op-ed was about immigration, that immigration is something which we need to make sure we get right. We didn't before. And there were three things I said we needed to do. One, numbers matter. I was quite surprised that Rob actually misrepresented what I've been saying. Numbers do matter. Culture matters even more. Who comes into the country is absolutely critical. And leadership. You need to start from the top. It's no good simply saying we're going to lower immigration and outsource it. It has to come very much from the Prime Minister himself or herself.
Are you saying, though, that if somebody in their culture who lives here in the UK, who might be a British citizen, who answered the door to you and said, I won't speak to you, I'd like you to speak to my husband instead, are you saying, you have said their culture is less valid, are you saying that people with those beliefs shouldn't be welcome in the UK?
I am saying that if we want to have a well-integrated society, we need to make sure that we have a shared culture and a shared identity. This is a multi-ethnic society. That's obvious. I'm a black woman sitting here talking to you. But there is a difference between being multi-ethnic and being multicultural. I grew up in a place that was multicultural, and yet everybody looked the same. Conflict arises when you emphasize difference. We need to emphasize the thing that we share. Being British, British values, the things that we talked about, freedom, equal rights, personal responsibility, not discriminating people because of their sexual orientation. There are some cultures that do that. I don't think that a culture that thinks gay people should be stoned is as valid as ours. This is not a controversial thing to say.
But aren't you, by making this point, which people will judge for themselves, they will maybe, I'm sure many people will be interested to hear what you say, aren't you, in fact, emphasising difference by making this point? You are saying that if somebody lives in this country already, they answered the door to you here, and they said, I'd rather you spoke to my husband, you are judging their culture to be less valid than your own. You are emphasising that difference.
What are you suggesting that politicians should do in that case then? That we should just accept everything, that everything is fine, and that we should not comment on what kind of social relations we should have? I don't think that's right. It is our job to make sure that the people who come into the country are people who love this country, who want it to succeed. And I want this country's culture to stay the same. I left another country and came here because I thought it was better. I don't want this place to turn into the place that I was running away from.
This really, really makes sense. The BBC host just wants to put words in her mouth. I love the way this woman dismantled her. Like, it's simple. People coming from different countries into the UK, we are saying it's accepted. But you come into the UK and bringing your own culture to the UK, then refusing the West culture because you feel like your culture that you came with is much better, that women can work, women can go to school, women education and in the kitchen. That is your country you're coming from. You don't bring such narrative to the UK. It's exactly what the woman is trying to say. You can't bring such narrative to the UK. She left her own hometown where she lived before to the UK for a better life. You understand? So if people are bringing the cultural aspect from different countries back to UK and living that life, it's like she never left her hometown for a better life. Do you understand? She wants UK not to change that culture, that way of life because of immigrants that are coming. Immigration is very, 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 very important. Millions of people come to UK every year. So those people who are coming have to abide to the culture in the UK. You can't bring your culture and impose it on women or impose it on people that they must apply to your culture. Whereas when you came to the country, you met a culture already, a way of life. You get it? So you can't just impose it on people that people just abide by your own culture because you're coming from a faraway land. So seeing this woman speak like this, I kind of like get her own point of view, but the host herself, she's trying to put words in her mouth that people who their wife answer the door and say that you can't speak to me, you have to speak to my husband unless that culture is less valuable. Like you're trying to put it in her mouth so she would just say, yes, that's true. No, it's as simple as that. Is clear understanding. She has said it, that there are some cultures that is less valuable than others. Any culture that reduce people's self-respect and people's way of life or saying women education ended the kitchen, no, it's not acceptable. It's not accepted in the UK. So she don't want UK to be as bad as the country she left. It's as simple as that. Irrespective of us accepting immigrants coming from different background, different countries into the UK, they have to abide to the rules and regulations and also the culture of UK, the way of life in the UK. You have to abide to it. You don't have to impose your culture from whatever country you're coming from into the UK. It's as simple as what the woman is saying. But the BBC host, she's clearly dumb and she's acting kind of like tricky. Well, I love how the woman answered her. It's very, very precise and very matured. Comment down below what you think about this video. Give us a thumbs up. Share this video to as many as you can. Subscribe to the channel, guys. You know how it is. We'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you stay safe.